At the same time, we will establish a minimum baseline tariff of 10%. You notice that on the chart? And that'll be on other countries to help rebuild our economy and to prevent cheating. China, first row. European Union, Vietnam, Taiwan, and Japan. India, look at Switzerland, Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia. United Kingdom, 10%. South Africa, Brazil, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka.
Yo, so Trump's Liberation Day just happened the other day. And as a result, the world is reacting. The stock market is reacting. I'm seeing a whole lot of red. And I'm not talking about Nord at this point. You know, I'm not seeing red like that. So I'm seeing a different type of red because of what's happening in the stock markets. I don't know if you guys are feeling the pinch. I'm definitely feeling the pinch on that, of what's happening with that, but that's neither here nor there. What I want to talk to you guys about is is the price of how this is going to affect us or what have you, because I've been talking to some friends about it. We've been having some different conversations. They have some thoughts on it. I have some thoughts on it. Everybody has thoughts on it. But Sweetwater recently dropped an article that was saying basically the same thing. They dropped it before, like kind of prepping us that, hey, sometime in April, we're probably going to start seeing some price hikes, some price jumps, all of those things like that. So it's kind of something to just kind of be aware of. So I want to have a candid conversation, you know, with the community. I made some notes here on my phone as I was kind of studying up on some of the things. So I want to kind of present some things to you guys to let you know that, like, hey, if you're going to buy a keyboard, if you're going to buy musical instruments, some of those big purchases you've been looking to make, this might be the time to go ahead and jump on them before we start to see some of these super crazy price increases as a result to it. You know what I mean? So you have to think about it. Like a lot of the tariffed countries that have been getting smacked, these are the ones that have like all of the gear that we love. So take Nord, for example, right? The Nord Stage 4 is already like $5,600, like by itself. You know what I'm saying? So the EU is getting smacked with, like, I think I put some notes here. The EU is getting smacked with a 20% tariff, a 20% tariff that's going out. And then looks like Japan is getting smacked with 24%, and China's getting smacked with 34%. Now you have to think about how many of these like manufacturers and stuff, even the ones that are made in the US, that are, you know what I'm saying, getting some of their parts sourced from China. But let's just kind of bring it back. I want to bring it back a little bit. Let's talk about, like, let's kind of break this down pragmatically so you can kind of get a picture of kind of what I was seeing and what I was hearing when he was going through all of the stuff. So like, okay, Europe, 20%, right? I looked up, okay, here are the companies that are, some of the companies that are in Europe that'll probably be affected. You got Nord, of course, right? Native Instruments, Sennheiser, Bitwig, Ableton, FL Studio. They probably won't be affected. You know, they do ship some hardware, but you know, they're not really heavy in hardware. But like Ableton, you know what I'm saying? The Push, the new joint they just dropped, I can't think of it right now. I won't try to, you know, flesh it out. You know what I'm talking about? It's a new one they just dropped that's out there. All of the other pieces of hardware that some of these other companies make and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, so you have to think about all of those things like that that are going to kind of play into it. So I kind of played around and was looked at some different numbers and stuff. So you got to think about it. Nord Stage 4, I'm going to take that as an example because we all use that as like the North Star of the most expensive keyboard on the market right now that you're having to pay some money for. You know, probably some other ones, but just that's the thing that lives in the forefront of all of our minds. We think about Nord costing $5,600. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just kind of get all up in arms about that. You know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying? They're expensive as they are right now, not because Nord just wants to bust us over the head. It's because up to this point, even pre-Liberation Day, they were getting hit with import taxes and port fees and all of those things like that. So they pass that on to the customer. Because when I talk to some of my EU friends, some of my people over in Europe, they're like, nah, like Nord over here is pretty much the same price as a Roland. It's pretty much the same price as a, you know what I'm saying, as a Korg. You know what I'm saying? We're paying the same price. We're paying $3,400, $3,000 for Nord. Over here, you guys are paying the premium because it has to be shipped over, and they have to pay all those port fees, and they pass that cost on to us as the customer. So that's why we're spending an extra almost $2,000 for the Nord Stage 4 because of import fees and import taxes. Now there's a tariff that is going to be dropped on top of that. And for Europe, it's an additional 20%. So what does that mean? So that means the price of the Nord Stage 4 will probably go up to, if they add the 20% to the price, you're going to be paying $67.20, which is insane. We're talking about another $1,000+ on top of the price of the Nord. So, and tax and all of that, you're probably going to be paying $7,000 for a Nord Stage 4 if things go the way that they talk about going. Even the Organ 3, they announced this. I was at NAM a few months ago, and they, right before NAM, they dropped the announcement about the Nord Organ 3 that's coming, and the stage and the Piano 6. They are going to be out in the summertime. We're talking like May, June, July timeframe. We're well into tariffs at that point. We're well into shipping and all of that stuff like that. We're well into those places and in that time frame at that point. You know what I'm saying? So they announced the price at $39.99, right? So if you add that up, you're talking about another 20% dropped on that. Yeah, you're talking about a good 38, $100 that's going to like jump in on that, you know what I'm saying, just on that price. And then think about Korg. Think about I was also something they announced out there when I saw out there was the Korg Kronos 3, right? Well, that's coming from Japan. Now, EU, they're getting smacked with 20%, but it looks like that the Japan is getting smacked with 24%. Yes, Japan is getting smacked with 24%. So that's also, who also is in Japan? Roland, V Stage. And while they're out and they got a batch here in the United States and they're being, ordered and shipped around and all of that stuff like that, what about the next batch? By the time the next batch is out hitting the US, they're going to have to pay tariffs on this. So the price of the V Stage could probably go up from 3,500, 4,000 to close to 5,000, 4,500 to 5,000, depending on which 76 or 88 key. So now we're entering Nord Stage 4 territory prices for the V Stage, you know what I'm saying, for Roland, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's not something that we need to like overlook, because again, these are real things. And then you talk about 34% that's on China, right? 34% that's on China. That's a lot considering, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole lot considering the fact that Behringer is in China. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these other companies that are making their products, they're outsourcing a lot of that stuff from China. Like I think Moog, even though they're made here in the US. I think Sequential was made here in the US. Correct me in the comments if you're wrong. I don't have a problem. I think I saw that Sequential was a US based company. Let me know in the comments section if that's true or not. But I believe that I saw that. But they source products or components from over, seas, and some of these companies that are countries that are being tariffed. So if they're having to pay higher prices to get components shipped over here, who's going to make up the difference? Because it's cutting into their profits. So who's going to make up the difference? The customers are going to make up the difference. Now, something else that I kind of thought was interesting is this term called price fixing. It's something I found in my research. It's called price fixing. And that's basically where other companies raise their prices, not for a justifiable reason, other than the fact that the other competing companies have raised their prices as well. So that's something else that we can kind of fall into, is the price fixing category. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it. The gas stations, sometimes, the Exxon up the street raises their price from $2.56 to $2.60, right? And then the other company, the other gas station company across the street that's charging $2.54, they raise their prices up to $2.59 because they're trying to stay a little bit under where the other company is, because why not? It's not a supply thing. It's just they raise their prices, we'll raise our prices. Airlines, they do the same thing with ticket prices. You know what I'm saying? You go to one company to look for a flight, and then you go to another one, and then their prices are being fluctuating and adjusting, especially during holiday seasons. They're always fluctuating. So you got to think about those type of things. What if some of these companies in the US, or some of the companies that's not affected from high tariff countries decide to say, hey, just because the market is raise their prices, we're going to raise ours too. So that Moog sub 37 that's 1,800 all of a sudden becomes $2,200. Why? Because the market. You know what I mean? So these are just some things that I've been thinking about, that I've been researching on. I wanted to kind of present it to you guys. This is just some research that I had just from kind of looking over it and thinking about all of the stuff. And it looks like that the tariffs are going to, there's a part of them that start tomorrow, April 5th. This is April 4th, time of recording this video. April 5th, there's one set baseline, 10%. Everything that starts coming in tomorrow, 10%. But then these big tariffs, they start Wednesday. And then here's the other danger to think about. You guys can feel free to let me know in the comment section, because I want to discuss this with you guys as well. But I think there's just the trade war, you know what I'm saying? And that might happen. All of the retaliatory tariffs that happen, you know what I'm saying? All of these different things that could cause like the whole thing to like push out even more. So the US respond, like China says, all right, 34, we're going to hit you with 40. And then they say, all right, bet. Trump says, bet 50. Now it's more expensive. You know what I'm saying? The same could happen with the EU. But, we'll see what happens. It's just my thought process, raw thoughts. Tried to keep this video very like one angle, one shot. Let's just talk about it. Raw thoughts, made a couple of notes, and wanted to present it to you guys. So I think if you're going to get that big purchase, if you've been holding off on buying a V stage, or buying a Nord stage or whatever, you might want to go ahead and grab it now, because you could come back a month from now and it could be twice the price. You know what I'm saying? You could come back, 2 months from now, and it could be 3x the price depending on what happens. So I would suggest, I got some choice pieces that I'm actually looking at grabbing real quick before this thing kind of gets hot. You know what I'm saying? So I suggest you guys, as a precaution, just do the same thing. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. I think this is an interesting time to be in music, because I think all of us are going to be affected. I know I talked about keyboards and stuff in this video, but I'm pretty sure that all of the guitars and drummers and all of you guys can chime in and let me know what you guys think, and you know what I'm saying, what you guys have seen out there, all of those things like that. That's just what I got today. I hope this video helped you. I hope it blessed you. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. I think this is going to be an interesting situation, and let's dialogue about it. Let's keep track on it. If you guys know of some things that I missed, please put it down in the comment section. If you guys know of some things that you've seen, even as we update, even as this goes, come back a week from now, post it on here. Hey, I just saw this price jump on this. I just saw this price jump on that. You know what I'm saying? Jump on and let me know. If you're watching this after the fact, after everything's going on, let me know down in the comment section. I really want to dialogue with you guys. All right. Talk to you guys on the next one. I'm out. Holla at your boy.